Continuing from the last topic, we spoke about the fact that when Moshe Rabbeinu was nostalgic, it says that the Jews cried, they mourned him, and Bnei Yisrael, which means the men, specifically the men. Aharon was nostalgic. It says that Beis Yisrael, Kol Beis Yisrael, means men, women, and children all cried over the passing of Aharon. Yimar explains that the reason is because Moshe Rabbeinu was done din emes la'amitai. He was a judge who ruled over the Jews and judged with righteousness, with emes, with truth. This is something that the men understand and they appreciate. Women and children don't understand this. Of course, naturally they mourned also, but they didn't cry over his passing as deeply as over Aharon, who was the one that brought about shalom, peace between two warring factions, and two people who were at odds with each other, especially between husband and wife. This is the most important type of shalom that exists, because this meant that he was responsible for the Shekhinah being present there. That's why Aharon is the Bechina of the Shekhinah. We once mentioned it, in Honor B'Choyach, the last, each one of these lines of the Shem Mem Beis Honor B'Choyach stands for a different sfira. The last one, Shavasenu Kabel Ushmat Sakasinu Der Talamais, it's Shin Kuf Vov Yud Tzadik Yud Tov. That Shem of 6 letters is Begimatria, which is the 7th sfira, which is the Shekhinah. Begimatria Aharon, exactly. Aharon with the Nun standing for 700. So therefore we see that Aharon was primarily responsible for, was to be thanked for, the fact that he brought the Shekhinah into private homes. Now, we discussed this the last time, but to go a little deeper into this difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and Aharon. After all, Moshe Rabbeinu was the Rabban Shekol Yisrael, Rebbe of all Jews. And the Lashon Gemara is Shedon Din Emes La'amitai. It does not say Don Din Emes, he judged with truth, but Emes La'amitai, which means the truth right to the core. To understand this, it would be impossible, it seems, unless we take R Nosson's explanation and we put the halachos. R Nosson brings the Medrash. The Medrash tells us that when Hashem was about to create the Adam Harishon, about to create man, the posek says there that there was a controversy between the midos. Between midos means the characteristics. In this case, of course, it means the angels, the leading angels in heaven, who have some kind of an authority. They call it Pamelia Shamala, the heavenly court, or the heavenly officials in heaven, these leading angels. The posek says, Chesed v'emes nifgashu, Chesed and emes, Chesed kindness, emes truth, nifgashu met. They met. A meeting could be a very nice meeting, or a meeting could be a clash. It was a clash between Chesed and emes. Tzedek v'shalom noshaku. Tzedek, righteousness, and shalom and peace both came together, practically merged. It was a head-on collision. What is meant by this? The Medrash says that when Hashem was about to create Adam, so these midas, these archangels stepped forward to voice an opinion. Chesed Omar, Chesed, kindness said, the angel appointed of the kindness said, Yivra, or Yibore, man should be created. I advocate the creation of man. The world is not complete without a man, which means mankind, let man be created. Emes Somar Al Yidra. Emes spoke up, truth spoke up, and said man should not be created. And I'll give a reason for it, because man is full of lies, deceit, fraud. I cannot tolerate man because he will not stick to the truth. The world must exist only on truth. Emes. Bereshis Borah Elokim. First words in the Torah. Sefer Tevis are Emes. So therefore, Emes said, I am opposed to the creation of man. That's Chesed v'Emes Nifgoshu. They both met. They clashed. Two opposite opinions. Next, Tzedek stepped up. Righteousness said, Tzedek is also in the form of kindness. Righteousness, Yirah, create man. Let's be righteous. Let's be merciful. Let's be charitable. Create man despite his shortcomings. Shalom Amar Al Yirah. Peace said, do not create man because he is full of dissension, disharmony, machlekes, jealousy. He cannot get along with his own kind. It does not pay to create him. These were the four opinions voiced. The Medrash says that Hashem took Emes. You say man should not be created? He took Emes and smashed Emes to the ground. Hishlach Emes Arza. He threw Emes to the ground. Kaviyachah. Okay, we can't picture that physically, literally, but in a sense, Hashem took the Emes and smashed it to the ground. Malach were all fighting. They said, Hashem, this is your seal. This is the royal seal. Hashem Lekechem Emes. The seal of Hashem is Emes. Why do you throw Emes to the ground? This is the cover, the crown, the seal of Hashem. So Hashem said, fine. Ta'ala Emes, right. But the Emes rise up from the ground, rise up again, as the posek says, Emes me'eretz titzmach. Emes shall blossom forth from the ground. First words of that phrase, the first letters of that phrase, is Emes. Emes me'eretz titzmach aleph mem tov. This is how truth came back up from the ground, and everything was settled. This is the story in the Medrash. Rav Nosson asks a very simple question. First question, painful one, is, what does the word Emes mean? Emes means truth. The Emes is only one. Arizal brings the footnote on it, that there cannot be more than one truth. Truth is one, and sheker, lies, are many. Arizal quotes for an example that's brought in Shulchan Kodesh, that if you take a piece of gold, you say this is gold, that's Emes. There's only one thing you can say about it. But lies, you can say this is silver, this is copper, this is wood, this is bronze. A lot of things can be lies. Emes is only one. So it can be only one Emes, anything else is a lie. The question is, why was this called Emes? This Emes that we say here went against Hashem. Hashem wanted the man to be created. It was the will of Hashem man be created, naturally. Emes said, Al Yivro, do not create man. That's Emes, that's truth. Truth is only Hashem. So how can you call this Emes if it went against the will of Hashem? That's the question that Nosson asks. And Nosson answers that it is. This is very vital as an Indian of Musa to know Achlal in life, throughout life. There are two kinds of Emes, two kinds of truth. There is a truth where a person feels very confident that he's doing what is right. He is sure he's on the right, true path. But it is this kind of truth that is so poisonous and so dangerous, it could destroy the person and it could destroy many others too. For example, let's look into the painful disharmony among the Jews themselves. You have Chassidim and Misnagdim. There's a constant battle, friction between the two. What is the difference? I'm not speaking about the Amaratzim, the fools who say bad words about them. I'm speaking about the original Chassidim and Misnagdim. Original Chassidim were tzadikim, original Misnagdim were Lamdei Torah, the great leaders of the cities, most important rabbis at that time, the posek and Shulchan Aruch, they came forth with fire against these Hasidic rabbis, against the Baal Shem Tov, against the Baal Shem Tov's Talmidim. Did they do it with an evil intention? That's for sure. They meant well. They felt they were on the path of truth. They felt that there is something wrong with the derech, the methods, the means, the customs, the habits of the Hasidim. Therefore, they felt that we must destroy this whole concept of Hasidism. This was the pattern that guided these misnagdim. So they thought they were doing what's right. They were attacking these tzaddikim, attacking the Baal Shem Tov, Baal Shem Tov's followers, because they felt that the truth was with them. The Hasidim are false. This was one case. Or you have some very religious people, Hasidim, Hasidic rabbis, who feel honestly that you must daven with kavanah. You must daven before Hashem and concentrate only on your davening. And therefore they say, we feel honestly the emes that a person in the morning should eat and drink before davening, so you can daven with more kavanah. They're not eating because they disrespect the davening, disrespect the words of the Torah, because they feel the truth is that you must daven with kavanah, and if this will help you daven with kavanah, eat before davening. They're also going with emes. Again, these are the kinds of emes that are destructive. Or the ones that say, I can't daven in shul because I cannot concentrate, that there's too much talking, and there's too much moving about, and the chazan is not good, he grates on my ears, and they daven too fast. I can daven at a home better, calmly, peacefully, like take a little nap in the middle. It's so much better to daven without disruptions. So therefore, they say, in truth, it is better to daven b'yechidus. In truth. Truth is because I mean well, my intentions are pure. Or a person who says, I don't trust the kashrus of these machshidim, this mashkiach, this company, these people, I don't trust any of them. I say only that we have to make certain ourselves that this item is kosher and avoid eating 95% of these products that have a hechsher on them. Or 95% of the kind of food that's cooked privately in private homes, no matter how good the recommendation is. It's kosher, that's recommended, it's not kosher enough. His intention is good. What is he accomplishing? He's accomplishing the fact that he's slandering all these important people, all these religious people, slandering them, issuing a statement that what they eat is not kosher. Or, same thing with, let's take even those who are regarded in a very poor light. Let's say the Neturei Kata. Right? Let's see their case. Let's be honest about their case. Or as they say, the truth is with them. They are the only ones who possess emes, truth. Emes, they say, is that they must boycott anything that is touched or relates to Zionists, Tzionim. Whatever the Tzionim touch becomes contaminated. If the Zionists touched the Kesel Maravi, the west wall, the wall of the Beis HaMikdash, which is standing since time immemorial, the Beis HaMikdash was built. The Yesod is put up by David HaMelech. That ground was hallowed by Hashem since the time of creation, because that's where creation began. But this wall was touched by these Tzionim. What are Tzionim? Monsters with two heads. Tzionim are those who feel a sense of nationalism. They feel a sense of loyalty to the country without feeling a sense of loyalty to the leaders of the Neturei Kata at the same time. So they're limiting themselves to loyalty and ahavot to the land itself. Not enough. Therefore, these Tzionim have defiled, they have desecrated the principles that the Neturei Kata stands for, the Kodesh Kodeshim, their tenets, And that is why they should be boycotted, they should be ostracized, but no type of communication or negotiation with them is possible. What is the reason for these inturikata? Because they feel that these are not religious people, and it is harmful and it is disgraceful for a religious Jew to have any contact with them. So they're doing it with good intentions. Their intentions are to really sanctify, to make holy Kiddush Hashem, and keep it that way, keep it Kiddush Kodesh. Again, what is the result? The result is we have this friction, we have this disharmony, we have complete disunity. There is no achdus among Jews. What do they accomplish? Destruction. This kind of emes is poisonous. This kind of emes is very pure. Note the motives in each case. They are so pure, they are far above the average person. Who could reach a stage like that? This kind of emes is possible. This is the kind of emes that said to Hashem, Al Yivra, pure emes, not 99 and 44 tenths, but hundreds, but pure, 100% pure emes said, Al Yivra, do not create man because he is filled with lies and deceits. So what did Hashem do? Hashem said, this is not the kind of emes that I want. It's fine, it's emes, but it's so filled with din, such harshness, so abrasive, this emes. He smashed emes to the ground. What to the ground? Where to the ground? What ground? The orders. This emes was up in heaven. Of course, here in heaven, Hashem said, you have no impurities. You can be pure emes. I want you to experience what it is like to live on earth first. Find out what life is like there, and see how pure you remain. You threw emes down to earth. Now you angels up in heaven, you pure angels, go and see what man has to go through. You see what he has to go through, and to remain solid. They go through these tests, these nisyonos, the obstacles that come up, and to remain pure. After that, then you'll know what true emes is. So that's called emes la'amitai. Emes la'amitai is, if we had light only, it's light, right? For example, if there was no darkness in existence, we had only light 24 hours a day, a steady degree of light. We would say now that is light. But is it really light? Could it be appreciated as light? It's nothing. You wouldn't know the meaning of the word light. Because you must have darkness in order to compare it. It must be something that's relative. Light is relative to darkness. Truth cannot be recognized at all. Truth can be recognized when you have sheker. Just as good cannot be seen without bad, without evil. And that's why the Rishonim are so important. The Rishonim are important because that's how we can recognize the purity, the greatness, the holiness of tzaddikim. So when is emes la'avitai, the true emes? When emes comes down to earth, and it's got to battle, it's got to fight for itself, the truth. And it goes through the evils on earth, and the lies and deceits, and it comes out after that, comes out pretty much bruised, but still the truth remains. That's the emes. Hishloch emes otza. Hashem threw emes to the ground. Then Hashem said, Tala. Now emes, you were down on earth. Emes me'eres titzmoch. Blossom forth from under the ground. You went through some ordeal. Now you are the truth that I want. If that's the case, as Rosenfeld says, fine. Hashem took emes and threw it down. Kash is, how come there was no objection? There was another one. Tzedek said, create. Shalom, peace, said, do not create. I'm opposed to creating man. Did Hashem throw Shalom to the ground? Not at all. How come Shalom got away with it? What was special about Shalom that it got away without being smashed? Without provoking the anger of Hashem, without inciting the wrath of heaven? The answer is that Shalom was right. Shalom said, do you know why I'm against man? It's his fault. It's emes' fault. This emes, true pure emes, creates friction, creates arguments. It destroys my chance of existing, of Shalom, of peace. Once you throw emes to the ground, and people stop making arguments against Chassidim and against Siyanim with their emes, and I can live in peace. That's why we have the origin of the Gemara says, Mutter l'shanais, mitzvah l'shanais. It's permissible to go against emes. The Gemara says, befedish is permissible, and it's a mitzvah to lie sometimes. Emes, the seal of Hashem, to go against Hashem's seal, for the sake of Shalom, it's permissible. It's a mitzvah. Therefore, Shalom was right. I don't say don't create man. I say create him, but first get rid of this emes. Get rid of this emes who's a bal machlekes. Get the real kind of emes, then I will concur. I will agree. That's why we can understand. How come that the words here is chesed v'emes nefgoshu, and it says that Moshe Rabbeinu was done did emes. What? La'amitai. He judged emes la'amitai. He knew how to judge without being fazed by these righteous people, these do-gooders who claimed only the pure truth. That kind of too-good truth, emes, is not what's meant la'amitai. Emes la'amitai is one who goes through, who sees the hurt, the pain of others, who sees and knows when to compromise, and knows when to temper this deed with rachmim. That's the emes that Hashem wants. That was Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why he was able to erase the most serious crimes in existence. Aruch Zohar, the Sionis that the sin that the Jews did against Hashem in the desert, all these he was able to battle for the forgiveness of Slicha Mechila of the Jews. And so we see that the actual chesed v'emes are really one. Nefgashu. In truth, they are one, because when is emes real? When it's with chesed, combined with chesed. There must be chesed too. There must be consideration for others. That's the real truth. We notice too that emes and shalom were really one. Therefore, both did say the same thing. They both agreed. The result was that they agreed again the other way. But they sort of followed the same pattern. First, lo yivra, then when emes was straightened out, both agreed yivra. The fact is that these two are more closely related, emes and shalom. Shalom Kodesh brings that emes, titain emes leYaakov. Titain emes leYaakov, the midah of emes is Yaakov Avinu. What he says about Pinchas, this shalom. Shalom stands for bliss. Shalom stands for Yesod. What is the true derivation of emes? When is emes real? We can tell by what comes from emes. If machlekes comes from emes, that's not the real emes. What is the birth that Yaakov Avinu gave to? Eila Teldesh Yaakov. What did Yaakov give birth to? One word, Yosef. Eila Teldesh Yaakov, Yosef. So when emes gives birth to, what is Yosef? Yosef, Shalom. But it's Shalom. When emes gives birth to Shalom, that's the real emes. Then we know that the emes is the emes la'amitai. But if there is machlekes that comes from that kind of emes, don't go around quoting emes. Truth, everything is emes, emes. There's too much emes, which is a lie. The real emes is one that gives birth, that produces peace. That's the emes. Able to tell this Yaakov Yosef, the true tale of Yaakov emes, is when there is bris shalom, when there's shalom about. Now the Gemara says further that Moshe Rabbeinu, who witnessed the Gestaltus of Aharon, was to a degree envious. Not envious that he begrudged Aharon. He didn't begrudge Aharon, of course, Chas v'Shalom, but he was desired. He had a cheshik, a desire, a craving desire, to experience the same kind of death. There was no death, no ordinary death. He placed Aharon on a mountain, had him lie down, close his eyes, and then his soul departed, and the neshama left him. How did the neshama leave? What means did the neshama leave? Kaviyachol, this is Kaviyachol means as though we could use that term, but we have to use the term because it is written. How it's done, we do not understand because we are not allowed to use this in a physical sense. But in essence, this is what happened. There was Misas Neshika. Kaviyachol Hashem kissed Adonai Kohen. With that Neshika, he drew forth the neshama of Adonai Kohen. In other words, there was a merging. The neshama and the Shekhinah, with that Neshika, both merged to one. As the Shekhinah drew away, it drew with it the neshama of Adonai Kohen. So it was Nafshay Tzura B'Tzerech Chaim. His nefesh and neshama became merged, part of the Shekhinah. Naturally, as the Shekhinah went, it now had in it, Nichol in it was the neshama of Adonai Kohen. Moshe Rabbeinu saw this. He was very happy for his brother to be zeichet to such a type of Misas Neshika, but he also had a craving desire, if only I could be zeichet to a Misa like that too. How wonderful it is to experience something like that. Sometime later, a short time later, time came for Moshe Rabbeinu's Astalkus, and Hashem said to the Menachem Mendel, your mission, go and bring me the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu. Menachem Mendel was very happy with this mission because the Menachem Mendel knew that this was the one he wanted to get. Throughout his whole lifetime he couldn't get Moshe Rabbeinu at all. Now at least he'll have the satisfaction of doing the killing. If he couldn't get him during his lifetime, at least he'll be the one to kill him and now pay him back for all the aggravation he suffered throughout his whole lifetime. Because the main accomplishment of the Satan is to get the tzadik. Tzaddikim especially. So he very joyously came skipping merrily along and came to Moshe Rabbeinu and said, here I am. Moshe Rabbeinu looked at him and said to him, how do you dare to stand in my presence? How do you stand in my presence? But then sit down. He said, you cannot be in my presence at all. I don't want you at all within my sight. He said, but I came to take in a neshama. Well, it's a fine challenge. If you want to try, of course, you're welcome. But I order you out. And of course, that order was so solid that, you know, the Arizal once said this to the Menachem Mendel too, told him out. He went crying, limping back to Hashem and crying. Hashem said to Menachem Mendel, if Arizal says out, he means it. I suggest that you don't test him any further. Moshe Rabbeinu, it was done as a sort of a sign from heaven to show days for generations what a human being can accomplish, what degree a human being can reach in greatness. Moshe Rabbeinu got so far that he was able to order the Menachem Mendel leave the premises. And he had to listen. An angel, fiery angel, the angel, leave Menachem Mendel, they told me, one of the greatest angels out. And still he can be ordered by a human being. This every person can strive for. Not guaranteed to make it, but we see that it was done. Arizal was able to do it. There were others, the Shulchan Levi, who was able to also act in a superior manner to the Menachem Mendel. This was only the first step. But then, following this, Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, it's time for you to surrender your neshama. Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem, I prefer, if I may, stay. I want to stay because I feel there's much more that I'd like to do. To get that into Israel, it's a long story. If you recall, we had a number of shurim on this one story itself. We learned at the beginning of Navi, we started with the Astalkus of Moshe Rabbeinu. There are many pages of Medrash and Gemara on that story, of the discussion, between Hashem and Moshe Rabbeinu, vikuach, sort of a debate, interesting debate between the two as to why Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to remain alive and Hashem's answers. Here we come to the final word. My word is Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, you want, I know what you want to have Eretz Yisrael, you want to live on further, but the final word is, enough for you that you have a Olam Haba prepared for you. Your Gan Eden is prepared for you. It's already set up. Your Gan Eden is set up. In fact, your Gan Eden is so special that it required a special creation. When Hashem first created the world, when He first created Gan Eden, Hashem at that time created a special Gan Eden for Moshe Rabbeinu. So special is His Gan Eden. Therefore, Hashem said, Vayecha, enough for you that you have your Gan Eden, which was prepared from the time of creation itself. And then, of course, the stalkus of Moshe Rabbeinu too was the Neshika. The same thing that the Neshika, Hashem drew forth in the Shem of Moshe Rabbeinu. This is how he was installed. Of course, this was even on a higher level. The level of Aharon was the Shekhinah, the level of Moshe Rabbeinu was Tzeidampik. This was his Estalkus, and we could at least understand how fortunate we are that Moshe Rabbeinu. Is there a doubt? There is none whatsoever. He is definitely our Rebbe. We are definitely his Talmidim. And Hashem that we have, Teiras Moshe, it's for us to keep that now, to obey the teachings of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Gemara says further now that we spoke about the peace efforts by Aharon HaKohen. Why did Aharon HaKohen devote himself in his whole lifetime for the sake of peace? Because this is what Hashem wants most. Hashem found that there is nothing greater in existence. There's no greater bracha than peace. Hashem Yevoreches Amoy. Hashem gave the Jews a bracha. Which blessing do we find as the most beneficial blessing of all? I'll show it. Peace is the biggest blessing of all. So we see that peace is desired in heaven too. Kaviyachol, in heaven there's also the pursuit of peace. Isa is showing in the name of Hashem makes peace in heaven. The simple translation is Hashem made peace. Hashem took the two arch enemies, fire and water. Those are two enemies, they can never get together. And Hashem put them together, made peace between the two. With this, He created heaven. Shemayim, the word Shemayim is Eish and Mayim, to show that Hashem makes peace in heaven. The Gemara says that, furthermore, Hashem is in pursuit of peace in heaven too, because we note that in order to keep peace in heaven itself, to keep the peace there, Hashem did not name angels with more than one name each. In other words, there are no two angels with the same name. On earth you find there can be 10 people with the same name. There can be 1,000 people with the same name. But in heaven there's only one angel called Michael, and only one. There's one Gabriel, there's one Raphael. Every angel has a different name. No two angels with the same name. And why? To keep the peace too. Because if there'd be two with the same name, and Hashem would call out the name, one name, you would have two or more angels come forth instantly to fulfill the command of Hashem. With the summoning of an angel with these names, with that name you'd have two or three, or any number whatsoever, and then Hashem would say, you go perform this mission. The other one would feel hurt. He would feel slighted, he'd feel jealous. There would be a kinah, a pain, a suffering, and it would create a kinah, a jealousy, with a lack of peace between the angels. In order to avoid this, Hashem gave only one angel one name. No two angels the same name. This is Isa showing the name of Hashem keeps the peace in heaven. Same time the Gemara says that, to the contrary, in heaven the angels themselves are very humble, very considerate of each other. There's no jealousy like there is on earth. There is no seeking of honor. One wants more honor than the other. On earth, there's always the drive, compulsion on the part of people looking for a higher status, to be greater than one's neighbor, be wealthier, to have a higher level in society, higher social level. In heaven, there is none of that. In heaven, on the contrary, when it comes time to say the davening, the song, to sing the songs of praise, the hallel in heaven, then each angel says to the other one, you start first, because you are greater than I am. Kavod to you, I give you kavod, you are the one that is fit to start because you're better than I am. The other one says to the first one, no, you are better than I am, you start first. Each one showing his humbleness, his appreciation of the fact that the second one, the other angels should be considered. And we see that too in the davening. It says when it comes time to give Hallel Shevach to Hashem, B'kodah zeh el zeh v'yomar. They don't say right away Kodesh, or B'kodah zeh el zeh. They first call one to the other. First one calls the other, says, you start. And the other one, each one calls it, you start. Always give the preference, the honor to the second. This shows the humbleness. This shows the degree of peace, how they get along. The harmony in heaven, they won't get along so perfectly. Mephoshim asked, if that is so, doesn't this contradict the former statement? We said before that Hashem does not call two angels with the same name because they would bring about the jealousy. Now why, if they are so polite, so considerate, why would they be jealous? The answer is there is a natural tendency. This is psychological. We would say human nature, but it's nature everywhere. That a person would say to his friend, to his neighbor, I respect you as my superior, please, you go first. You wash first, you receive service first, you eat first, you're better than I am. We'll always do that as a matter of politeness and even with sincerity. But if somebody else would say it, that would hurt him. If somebody else says between the two of you, this one is better, the second one will feel slighted, will feel hurt. I could say it, but not you should say it. I'll say to this neighbor of mine that he's better than I am. But you say he's better than I am, I'll feel insulted. Therefore, to have them summoned, and the call is for one, not the other, the second will feel slighted. Among themselves, as a matter of being harmonious, a matter of living together in peace, politeness, consideration, they will consider each other with due respect for one another. This is an example of the peace that exists in heaven. You notice this further, we see how Hashem desires peace and how peace is rewarded. Peace, of course, means unity. And there's unity among a group, among a nation, among the people. That is what Hashem wants, regardless of what other crimes they may commit. Therefore, we find the difference between the generation of the Mabul. The flood came and destroyed the world. What angered Hashem so much that the world was destroyed? After all, there was also another time, it was just as bad. Derav, when they built a tower in Bavel to do battle against heaven. What could be worse than that? How come that the world wasn't destroyed then? The answer is because there was a difference. The time of the flood, it's the Molah Ha'aretz Chomas. The world was filled with crime. Crime against who? Crime against each other. There was no achdus, there was no unity, there was no consideration for one for the other. Therefore, this angered Hashem and said, this kind of people I don't want at all. Destroy them, wipe them out. The Derav were thieves. They were ruffians. They went out to commit crimes against Hashem. But the world was Sofa Achas. They spoke one language. They were united. Because they were united, Hashem said they will be punished. I'll separate them, I'll send them into Golos, into exile, but I will not destroy them. They do not deserve to be destroyed. As long as there is unity, they should be given credit for that. So we see how much Hashem favors showing peace, even in a sense, peace among thieves. As long as there is peace, and that is a quality which deserves life. So we see where life is dependent upon peace. This is why we can understand better the fact that when emes was straightened out, man could be created because then it would be shown. This statement, we're speaking now about the words of Hillel. This Mishnah where Hillel said, a person should be Eiv Shalom, V'Reiv Shalom, to love peace and pursue peace, go out and find it. Also, Mekadavon Latayah. He added these words, to seek peace, and also when seeking it, get together with the person you're speaking to and bring him closer to Torah. Be Mekadav a person. Venedal said, don't be an arid piece of land or an unproductive tree. Bring forth fruit. Produce fruit, which means bring in new neshamas. Kavan Latayah we see in the case of Avraham Avinu, where it says, V'hanefesh asher osu b'cholam. The neshamas, the lives that they created in the city of Cholam. Who created? Abraham and Sarah created nefashos, lives. So you know, how could they create lives? There's no human being ever that ever did or ever will create any kind of a life. No one can create even the tiniest insect, a microbe, a cell, a living cell cannot be created even by great scientists. Nobody can create life except Hashem himself. So how can we use that term that Abraham and Sarah created lives? You want to answer if they created lives, that means that they were mekadev kiruv. Abraham spoke to the men and persuaded them to convert, to accept the Emunah of Hashem. Sarah spoke to the women. You see, of course, that there was segregation. There's no women in those days. Women to women and men to men. And because they were mekadev these people to Torah, which means to Emunah, faith in Hashem, therefore, the Torah says about them, they created them. Hashem regards the bringing them close to the Torah as though they actually created these lives. They're given credit for actual, literally, creation. This we can understand now. The main point, we speak about Avraham Avinu as the midah of chesed, kindness. First one to say Yivra was chesed. Kindness said create human beings. This was the midah of Avinu. His main act, primary act was chesed. Does that chesed mean because he fed hungry people? He gave them food and fattened them up? That was not the real chesed. The real chesed was that he brought them food. He carried them in his house. He led them, guided them, and instructed them, persuaded them to become religious, inspired them to have faith in Hashem. This was the real midah of chesed, midah of Avinu, and together with Sarah, therefore the posek says, also b'cholam. And this is what the Gemara tells us when it's in Hedron. Any person who brings any neshama, any person close to Hashem, who leads him into religion, into faith, it is as though he actually created that person. As though he gave birth to him or created him. He is kaviyachal like Hashem. He becomes a creator himself because he took something that was inanimate, that had no life in itself, and now is actually alive. Imagine the zechus, zleirei kodesh zakor, ashrei to that person who is zechus v'yikarev nefoshes to Hashem. That should, zleirei kodesh speaks about it more at length. We'll try to discuss it more eventually with Hashem. Second, we should be zechus, very simply, that through our emunah by Hashem, Muna Moshe Rabbeinu, tzadik amitiyim, Arizal, we have to have that koyach to be mekadev nefoshes, mind kved Hashem, or to add the cover of Hashem, and that's a chus, bringing these nefoshes closer, we'll be to see with our eyes Bias Mashiach Canaan, they big fail. We continue to share the Gemara. We are on Avos Rav Nosson. Reminder that this is the Gemara based on the Mishnah Pirkei Avos. We come to the statements by Hillel Hazaken, the kindly, patient Hillel the elder, who was so great a tzadik that he was in the Bechina of Moshe Rabbeinu. One of the Ayin Beis Shemesh Hakdashim, the highest of the Shemesh Hakdashim, the Ayin Beis Shemesh, 72 names of Hashem, that are derived from the three psukim, Mishalach, Ayisa, Vayoveh, Vayet. These Ayin Beis Shemesh contain 72 names of Hashem. There are two names, one next to the other. The name of Moshe Rabbeinu and the name of Hillel. In a different form, with the same three letters. In other words, the name of Hillel there, for example, is letters Lamed, Lamed, Hey. I'm not supposed to say these names of Hashem, but still, it shows how great these tzaddikim were. And therefore, both lived exactly the same length of time. They both lived to the age of 120. To show the closeness, parallel between the two. And of course, the main reason was that Hillel was such an honor, such savuna, such patience. We have now the famous sayings of Hillel in Pirkei Avos, and more in detail in the Gemara Avos of Nasan. Hillel said in the Mishnah, "In ein anili mili." I do not provide for myself. Who will provide for me? I've got to do the work myself because no one will take care of me. Now, this does not mean that he was haughty. I could do the best job possible. The Gemara says what he meant was, if I do not provide for myself, I don't take care of my spiritual needs during my lifetime, after I pass away, who can help me then? The Gemara says that he who works and cooks and prepares food, a meal, Erev Shabbos, he will have what to eat on Shabbos. He doesn't prepare the food, to buy it, to prepare it, to cook it before Shabbos, he'll have nothing to eat on Shabbos. The days of the week refer to Elam Hazeh, this world, the world of Asiyah, of work, just like creation. This is a world of working and struggling and preparing. Shabbos Kodesh is the world of the future, Elam Haba. So a person must work on this world in order to merit having reward, having the true life afterwards. This is what was included in Hillel's statement. If I don't prepare for myself for the future now, well, nothing then. Nobody can do for me later on. He said, proof of the posek, Toiv Kelev Chai May Aryeh Meis. Posek said by Shlomo HaMelech. He said, a live dog is better off than a dead lion. The Gemara in Shabbos goes into detail about that. Shlomo HaMelech referred to his father, David HaMelech, who was the lion of Yehuda, the king, and after he was Mastalik, So he makes a statement, it's a very deep statement, a lot of deep meaning there, but here it's referred to in a different sense. Hilo said this posek referring to the fact that a live dog, no matter how bad a person is, the dog refers to someone who is evil. We find the Gemara says that when, always in the Beis HaMikdash, when the korban was brought on the Mizbeach, the Jews could tell whether the korban was mitzvah accepted by Hashem. If they would see the figure of a lion above it, they know this was the symbol that Hashem accepted the korban with goodwill. There was a symbol of a dog above it that meant that the korban was tamei, it was rejected chas v'shalom by Hashem. So a dog is the symbol of evil. Here, a live dog means a rasha, evil person who is alive is better off than a lion, it's a tzadik, who is dead, who has passed away. These are the words of Hillel, interpretation of Hillel Zokin. He said, the person is a rasha, but he's alive. He's better off because he is still alive. He still has the power of one single hour. 1 hour, or not literally 1 minute, 1 moment in Elam Hazeh is more precious than all of the eternity in Elam Haba. A person can live in Elam Haba for 1,000,000 years, more. There's nothing he can do about improving his lot. There, a person is stuck. He stays on one level. Whatever he prepared himself for here, that's what he has there. There is no opportunity for mitzvahs. Menachem Mendel, a good person cannot perform mitzvahs. This is the place of mitzvahs. So 1 hour here, hour meaning, of course, a period of time. It could be a minute, there could be a second. A person can sometimes do a mitzvah that is so great that this one mitzvah elevates him to the highest possible level. The Gemara says that the Mesa Kiddush Hashem, a person dies by Kiddush Hashem, for instance, the last second of his death, it takes a second. But dying by Kiddush Hashem places that person in the highest level of Gan Eden, which is more than a person in Gan Eden can reach. If he's on a lower level, more he can reach in eternity. So therefore, a dog, a rasha who is alive, is better because it is within his power to do tshuva, to convert all his sins to mitzvahs, and to find himself better off than a lion, the tzadik who died. The tzadik who died, that was much greater than himself, was on a much higher level, infinitely higher. But this rasha is still alive. He has that chance, he has the opportunity, it's his for the taking. Of course, if he refuses, he's going to fall. But he could, if he wants to, accept this chance, this privilege, this blessing of being able to perform mitzvahs, do mitzvahs, do tshuva, and find himself better off than the tzaddik who passed away. Therefore, he will said, if I don't do for myself during my lifetime, at best I'll be a tzaddik. At best, tzaddik after I pass away, but nothing can be done for me afterwards. I will not be able to reach any higher level. I must strive and struggle and work to rise to the highest possible level during my lifetime. Second statement Hillel made, this is actually quoted from the Gemara in Sukkah. We find it here in this Gemara too. Hillel said at the assembly where he had assembled all the Jews, he made a statement and said, Im anikan hakol kan. I am here, and everyone is here. Teshuva says that Pshat means, he will say, if I am here, well, everyone is here because he was the Nasi. So he drew everyone there, referring to himself. Asher Kodesh says that he would not say that about himself. He referred to the Shekhinah. We are here, he said, Beis HaMikdash, speaking in the name of Hashem. The Shekhinah says, if I am here, all Jews can assemble at the Beis HaMikdash. That's the Shalom when there is a Churban, from Beis HaMikdash, and the Shekhinah is in Golos, no Jew can come to the Beis HaMikdash anymore. This referred to a statement by the Shekhinah. So we have a machlekes, a debate, whether Hillel referred to himself or to the Shekhinah with the word Ani. The Mepharshim say that to explain, after all, we say he referred to himself, there's still a question, how would he speak about himself as being so important? It's impossible. Hillel was an honor. answer is that he said, if I am here in Ani, use the word Ani, which is the letters Ayin. If I am Ayin, if I am nothing, if I consider myself as nothing, the way a Jew should, as a real Anav, then Hakol Kan. Hakol is the Shekhinah. Remember, there is Kudsha Barichu Shchinte. Hashem and the Shekhinah. Hashem is the Chasan. The Shekhinah is called a Kala. Hakol is the letters Kala. I am an Anav. Hakol Kan, the Shekhinah is with me. Shulchan is Daka. The Shekhinah says, I will rest upon that person who is an Anav. The person is a Balgaiva, conceited, the haughty, and the Shekhinah removes itself from that person. The Shekhinah refuses to stay with a person who is Gaiva. Therefore, he will say there's a lesson to all. If you are in a category of Ani, of Ayin, of Anivus, great humbleness, Ayin, nothing, and be sure that Hakol Kan, the Kala, the Shekhinah, is with you, surrounding you, hovering above you. Arizal says, Zohar Kodesh, Agav, says the Fedish, that the word Anikan refers to the Shekhinah. It shows that again and again how Rasha Kodesh is Mechaven, the Ruach HaKodesh, to the words of the Zohar Kodesh. Many times we find that. Arizal says that the translation of Anikan Hakokan, Agav, of course, the Mepharshim say that to show proof to Rasha Kodesh's words that Ani refers to the Shekhinah. Anikan, I am here, the Shekhinah is here. Why do you use the word Ani? Because he said, I, who is I? I am Hillel. If I, Hillel, am here, that means the Shekhinah is here. Because Hillel is the Gematria, the Shem Aleph Daled, which is the Shekhinah, the Shem Adna is the Shekhinah. Any kind of I, my namesake, not myself, my namesake, Hillel, which means the Shem Aleph Daled, then it means the Shekhinah is here. This, of course, we have from Hillel, Hallel. The Zohar Kodesh says, Hallelujah is so holy a word. Hallelujah is Hallel, that's Shem, we said Shem Adnei, which is the last letter of Hashem's name, the letter K. The Vav, Hallelu. After that comes the Vav. Next letter of Hashem's name, and call Yud K. So you have the combination of the whole Shem Hashem, the word Hallelujah. Yud K, Vav K in that word. We see there too, Hey, Lamed Lamed, Hallel or Hillel, refers to the Shem Adnei. Therefore, he said right there, Anikan means the Shekhinah. Arizal says, the Anikan Hakal Kan, and if we are deserving, then Anikan, the Shekhinah is here. If the Shekhinah is here, Hakol Kan, Kol is the Yesod, the Midas Yesod. Mechor Hashem Agdula, Yagvula, Teferes, Netzach Ve'ahid, Ki, Kol, B'Shemayim V'Olef. Kol is the Midas Yesod, the sixth Midah, Yesod Tzadik. It's called Kol because Kol the Gematria 50, which refers to the 5 spheres. It is a Kolel, it's Kolel, the sixth sphere Yesod, this Kolel encompasses all the other first 5 spheres. Also, Kol B'Shemayim V'Olef. It takes together Shemayim and Oretz, it unites heaven and earth, because there can be a yichud, a marriage, combination, above, only through the Yesod. It can be a yichud, but not the two, the merging of the Chassidut and Kala can come only through the Yesod Bris. Therefore, he said, when he comes, the Shekhinah is here, for yichud, it's because Hakal come, because the Yesod is here. This Arizal translates it. We have this word interpreted, or Hillel said, remember that you can have the Shekhinah with you if you are Zocher to Tikuney Zohar, Tikuney Bris. The Gemara says further that Hillel once was traveling on a road alone. He met 2 people who were carrying a load of wheat. He asked him, how much do you charge? What is your price for this load of wheat? And they replied, 2 silver coins. 2 dinars. He let them go. He figured he might get a better buy later on. He continued on. He saw a second group of people coming, and he asked them, they also carrying a load of wheat, and they asked, how much do you want for this same bushel of wheat? And they said, a measure, a saw. How much do you charge for a saw for a measure of wheat? And they said, we charge 3 dinars. 1.5 times the price of the first one. So he asked them, how come that you charge, your price is so exorbitant? You're not doctors. Why do you charge so much? Why do you charge so much more than the others? Different, like you get it cheaper. You get not wholesale, but you get it, the ones before you, the same thing charged 2 dinars. They looked at Hillel and they said, they used a term that was very derogatory. Whenever they speak about, the Israelis speak about those living in Babel, they always use the word Bavloi Tipshoi, the Babylonian morons, or the fools, Babylonian fools. Because they felt that the ones living in Babel were fools. Chachma is an Eretz Yisrael. The Chachma itself, the Tipshon in Babel. Though Hillel was the Nasi of Eretz Yisrael, but he had arrived there from Babel. They said to him, you are one of those of this group of so-and-so name. You ask a question like that, don't you know that l'fumtzad or agra, that for suffering there is reward. The more a person suffers, the more he deserves reward. We carried this bushel of wheat from a much further place than the other ones. We're entitled to get paid for our efforts. Despite this insulting remark, Hillel did not lose his temper. He remained patient. He said to these people, you have taught me something very important. Let me use your lesson to teach you something. Just as you said. Think of what you said yourselves. Sada Agra, the suffering, the sacrifice, there is reward. How much reward does Hashem give for a Jew who is willing to suffer and sacrifice for the sake of Torah and mitzvahs? A person who gives up, he surrenders certain material benefits, certain luxuries in life. He gives up this time that he could have enjoyment, spends it for the sake of the study of Torah. It's a sacrifice. The time it hurts. A person could be having a good time, could be relaxing, or better still, better than relaxing and going out to have a good time and enjoyment, he could be sleeping. That's the greatest thing. Sleeping or oversleeping. What's more enjoyable than that? For some people, that's the peak. That's heaven and earth. A person who feels that way, is willing to sacrifice his sleep for the sake of giving that time for Torah, that's suffering, and that suffering rates reward. Imagine how much reward Hashem pays for that. Therefore, if you people would spend this time, it's lesson you taught, spend more time on the study of Torah and mitzvahs, know it would cost you effort and sacrifice, but you have just admitted to the fact. In fact, you taught this point, that for the more you suffer, the more reward you get. How much reward will be in store for you. So with their own words, the Gemara says that Hillel brought these people to a true degree of tshuva. They did tshuva, they became tzadikim through Hillel's words. This shows the greatness and the kindness of Hillel Hazukim. How great he was in being Mekarev the Chaykim. The further a person was away from Kedusha, the more he spent time with him to bring him back, to bring him within the circle, within the Midah of Kedusha, to build a boundary of Kedusha close to Hashem. Further, the Mishnah Hillel said, the Gid Shmo Avad Shmei. This is all based, as we said, on Pirkei Avos. Yishma Avat Shmei means that a person who seeks fame, who seeks kavod, honor, a great name, the result is that he's looking for greatness. He's going to lose the name that he has. Not only will he not gain what he's looking for, he'll even lose that which he has. And this is what the Gemara says in Megillah, Lifnei Shever Gon. Before destruction, first comes a big aliyah, a big ascent. The person rises to a very great height, and he has a tremendous fall, chas v'shalom. This rising to a height is a warning that the destruction and fall is about to come. We see this throughout history. The Gemara refers to the case of Haman, where it says, Achar advarim ha'ele gidal ha'malach Achashverosh es Haman. Then Achashverosh elevated Haman. Elevated Haman, the Torah tells us that Haman was brought to such a great height, so it makes his fall that much more severe. That he was destroyed more because of the fact he fell from so great a height. And this, the Meforshim says, Berumos, it's hinted in the words of Shlomo HaMelech. He said, Amati ech kemo, v'yidachayka imeni. The Gemara Nida says it referred to paraduma. The din of paraduma, that a red cow, the ashes can purify a person who's tamei. This is a secret, it's a chait. No one knows the reason except Moshe Rabbeinu. Shlomo HaMelech who said, I'm the wisest person, he sought to solve this riddle. Why is paraduma so different, so unique in its mitzvah? And he said, I thought I was wise, and I find that wisdom is very far from me. I cannot really solve or resolve the question of paraduma. The Meforshim say here that another way of interpreting is the words of Hillel, when he said that before a fall comes the ascent. Amati echkemo, I thought I would rise to a great height of wisdom. The more I went to wisdom, I found that wisdom was further away from me. The greater I rose to wisdom, the greater the result was that wisdom was far from me. I did not attain, I did not achieve what I wanted. I fell to a point that was very far remote from my goal. Then the next words in that same Mishnah are, the lo yalef ketola chayav. One who has not learned Torah is chayav misa. He deserves a death penalty. Here, the Gemara says Hillel referred to one who has not learned, one who was not a Talmud chacham. He did not become a Talmud, he did not acquire himself a Rebbe. That person deserves death. He decides to learn by himself without having someone teach him. The end will be death, because he'll be trapped in sins without knowing it. He will not have someone to guide him. He might commit an act which he thinks is permissible, and actually it's a death penalty. Now, this we know today is very common. The meaning of Shabbos, for example, is so complex that people could sit at a table and enjoy the Shabbos, not break any laws, yet sitting at the Shabbos table and eating, they could do certain things for which they deserve the death penalty, stoning, picking out the food in the plate. That one act of murder, selecting the food as they eat it, that can be done in a wrong manner. That's one of the lamites malachos, one of the 30 acts of forbidden on Shabbos, and a person can get a death penalty, all because he did not come close to a Rebbe where he could learn his din. So Hillel said, one who does not learn Torah from a Rebbe will find himself as having committed a sin for which he deserves death. The Gemara says that Yochanan Zakkai once sent one of his great Talmidim to investigate a certain Kohen who was known to be very careful in the laws of Truma, which of course require purity. The Kohen is not allowed to be Tamei when he eats Truma. You cannot be Tamei to make Truma. Truma is holy. You cannot make it Tamei. So he sent this Talmud to be bladed to inspect and investigate this kohen, because there were rumors about this kohen that something was strange. The Talmud came to this kohen, and he saw that he was very particular about the oven that he used. If there was any problem with the oven, any question of the oven becoming tamei, he would not dare to have any truma come close to this oven, which was very nice. However, the kohen also had a stove, and he was not particular about the stove at all. The stove became tamei. He put truma on there, let the truma cook in the stove, on the stove, which was the same thing. Allowing the truma to touch a tamei stove, the Talmud was shocked. He said to this kohen, realize what you're doing. This is a death penalty. How do you allow truma to touch a tamei stove? And the kohen said, but I was under the impression that I learned the din. And the din says that a tanur, an oven, is tamei, can become tamei, because if there is a tumor, let's say tumor, a rodent, a dead rodent is suspended inside the oven without touching the oven itself. Just in the air of the oven, the whole oven becomes tamei. Now that means then that becomes tamei, yitmor, yitamei. Becomes tamei, and then to make anything else tamei that it touches. So I would not dare to put a piece of truma in this oven. But a stove, which does not become tamei with a rodent hovering above it because there's no inside, so I figured a stove would be tahor, pure. That's why I allowed the tamei kira to touch truma. This student said to this kohen, he committed a very tragic error. Because you happen to learn a posek properly. It says tanur v'kirayim yutatz. The posek in Chumash says both should be destroyed if they become tamei. They're made of earthenware. You cannot kasher earthenware, so they must be taken apart and rebuilt. But if you see there that both a stove and an oven can become tamei, because of your ignorance, you committed this serious sin. What was the ignorance due to? The fact that you learned by yourself. You thought you know enough to learn by yourself. You did not learn from a Rebbe, and this brought you to a point of so serious a sin being committed. Therefore, he will have said to Yalef refers to the person who does not learn from a Rebbe. Even if he learns by himself, he does spend his time in the study of Torah, but he should check his dinim with the Rebbe. Final statement in that mission is that the law Moshe Tola Chayav. The law Moshe Yosef. Same thing. The law Moshe, one who does not learn further, he does not continue his studies, Yosef shall die before his time. Also deserves death. Does not continue his studies. This refers to, same as the Gemara says, that if one does not add to his knowledge, he has learned a few pages of Gemara, he spends his whole time just on those few pages. If he uses to go further, the end will be that he'll forget even those few. This the Gemara says from the words, V'hoyo im shamaya tishma. Im shamaya, if you will learn new Gemara, new part of Torah, tishma, you will understand the old. You don't learn new, you'll forget the old. A person must increase his knowledge always. This is the words of the Arizal too. If your mind is not deep enough, learn superficially, but learn, continue on ahead, amass, accumulate new knowledge. If you learn a lot of pages of Gemara, you understand 50%. 10%. But 10% of 10 pages is at least one page. You learn only one page, you'll have just part of that. Of course, you'll have much less to your credit, treasure. And therefore, then says you should learn quickly. Eventually, you'll be able to understand part of it, and that part will become increased more and more as time goes by. It's best, the Rabbi says, to have two shiurim. A Jew should have two types of lessons a day, one in which he learns very quickly, and that way you get at least the degree of the kiyus. You have a wide latitude of knowledge in Torah. One which you learn very slowly, but go deeply as possible. Very slowly, delve into the Gemara, the depth, or into whatever study of Torah, into the secrets of the Torah, very slowly, meticulously, and just for the sake of charifas, to sharpen your mind as you go more and more deeply into this knowledge. That way, you'll gain both the kiyus and charifas. Next Mishnah refers to the words of Shammai, who was Hillel's Hazakin's colleague. Shammai says, "Asay Torah kva." Make your study of Torah an established fact. Give a certain period of time for the study of Torah without fail. No matter what happens, that time belongs to the Torah, belongs to your neshama. You cannot take from that time and use it for physical means. Arizal says, to such an extent that kiruv means stealing. Steal time for Torah. Don't be afraid to steal. You have to steal time away from your pleasures, away from your business. Steal time in order to study Torah. Do it. You'll find this is one theft for which you receive a blessing. A rare case. Also, Hillel said to us, established the words of Torah as for you, which means that whatever you learn, and concentrate on it, that these words are directed at you. The Torah says you are committing wrong by doing something. Don't think in your mind, well, now I found out what so-and-so is doing, my other friend is doing, what crimes they are committing. This refers to yourself. See where you fit into this picture, and you yourself have shortcomings in all these mitzvahs, and work on correcting yourself. Also, I say to us, it means that you should, whatever you learn, then see that this is carried on further. Establish a foothold, and then go on from there to build, which means, what is the next step after learning? The immediate step is to fulfill. Either by teaching, you go from Lulmoid to the Lamed, or Laseis. We say, Lulmoid, Lamed, Nishmer V'Laseis. Our tefillah always at Hashem, help us to study the Torah. Why? Study so that we'll be able to teach it to others, be able to fulfill it. And this is the purpose of creation. Why did Hashem create a person? Why did he go through this whole item of bringing a person to this world? This is brought in the posek, Odom le'omo yulad. A person was born for the sake of struggling, ashimi shamoli b'Torah, the struggle for Torah. Odom le'omo yulad, for one purpose only, le'omo is the letters, umraid, almanas, the last lamed is the lamed, or lasois. A omlo, lumid almanas v'lamed, or lumid almanas lasois. This is the primary purpose that a person was created. To learn Torah and to fulfill it. And this, of course, we see the posek Bereshis. Bereshis Bora, Hashem created the world for the sake of Bereshis, for the sake of Torah, for the sake of study of Torah, which must be fulfilled. 2, Shammai warns the person should make the Torah keva, establish a time, establish a very definite habit. But be careful about saying this openly. Be Because if a person would say, for instance, I have determined that I'm going to learn 5 blot Gemara today, or 5 blot Gemara this week. He boasts about it to others, this is what I'm going to learn. There is someone who is eavesdropping. The Satan, the Baldover, hears these words. Baldover says, that's what you say. I am going to stop you. So if a person says, I'm going to learn so much and so much dafim, the Satan will stop that person. And the Katek will do his best to stop him. This is a thing better not to speak about, to do it without saying. I say to this, don't say it, don't say, but do. Action. Not words, but action when it comes to the study of Torah. Here too, Shammai uses the same posek. Shammai says, if I say I'm going to become wise and learn, then I find that the Torah is very far from me, because the Baltava will remove the study of Torah. He'll find things for me to do. He'll force manias, obstacles in my path, which will stop me from the study of Torah. Why? Because because I said these words. So a person should be very careful. Do not invite, do not challenge the Satan as your opponent. Avoid any battles with the Satan. Arizal, saving this is also never get into a discussion, or as they call a dialogue, with the Satan, with the Yetzer Hara. Don't start discussing with the Yetzer Hara about mitzvahs or about sins. Don't start discussing with those people who are atheists, those people who do not believe fully, with those who are misnagdim. They are the living Satan, the Katrei. The end will be that you're going to lose. Never get into a discussion or a controversy. Leave them alone, and they will let you alone. So do not ever invite the obstacles that the Satan can put up. You don't say anything, the Satan will leave you alone. He'll go to the next victim. This way, if you say it, you're challenging the Satan to a duel. And he readily accepts this. Very powerful. We see that every person knows how much trouble he has with the Satan without saying anything. Kolshkin, if he invites him yet to a battle, surely his chances are very slim. Therefore, the things Shammai says, I say to us, you want to learn a lot? Learn. Don't boast about it first. After you've learned too, we have a next lesson that a person should not think he's done so much, because that too does not deserve so much credit. That we'll see later on in the next statement. But here, the lesson simply is to say little and do a lot. Finally, Shammai says that you should receive everyone, the Sever, Ponim, Yafas. Everyone that comes to you, accept them with a smile. Be very nice, be very polite, be very kind, soft-spoken when you speak to every person. This is a culture game for a person, man and wife. That each one, a husband should be very soft-spoken to a wife, and a wife should be very soft-spoken to a husband. If she wants to nag him with a soft voice. At least it won't grate so much on his nerves. You should speak softly and with a smile. Because there are some smiles that could kill. This means an honest and sincere smile. Sever Ponim Yafais. A smile that is an item of beauty that's light, that has chen, that has charm to it. This, Shammai says, that a person who gives someone a gift, a large-sized gift, but he gives it to him with a very sour face, very bad, evil disposition, he has accomplished nothing. There's a very small favor in that, because the one who receives this gift cannot really enjoy it. It wasn't given with sincerity and with affection. There's no enjoying this gift, no matter how large the gift is. Especially in the case of an oni, a poor person coming to ask for tzedakah. He asks for a few cents. If the person gives it to him with resentment, with an insult, he's hurting the oni's feelings much more than if he would turn down his request for money. And therefore, the Gemara says that giving an oni tzedakah itself is a mitzvah. A special number of brachas. 6 brachas for giving an oni tzedakah. But if he speaks to him softly, nicely, he appeases him, he consoles him because of his poor lot, the mitzvah is much greater than the money he gives. 11 brachas in a case like that. Shammai says that giving a person a smile, a soft tone of voice, without a gift, is as though he gave the person all the gifts in the world, equal to giving him every possible gift in the world. Because every gift possible is included, is encompassed by that soft tone voice and a smile. Save upon the office. Of course, note this was the final statement by Shammai Hazokin. This was his last statement, because this is what he himself stressed now, and he said, this I stress very much, because I've learned my lesson. The history of Shammai against Hila was always that Shammai was the very severe person, the one who would eject anyone who came to him without a good reason, or speaking illogically. He'd have very little patience with that person. Shammai later said, I've learned that the most important thing in life is to treat everyone nicely, considerately, with kindness, consideration, and you'll find that you'll bring that person much closer and accomplish much more. Arizal's famous words are that if you want to accomplish something with a person, whether you want that person to do something, or whether you want to get something out of that person, whether you want to establish something in that person's mind, convince the person of something, Arizal says that if you use harsh tone of voice or a harsh action, use physical violence, you will probably accomplish to a certain degree. But using this violence, this harsh tone of voice, you'll accomplish much less. And if you use soft words, kind words, because that will draw the person to you, and with affection, the person will give you much more than by force, using force. Menachem says with good, you can accomplish much more than with harshness. These are the words of Shammai Hazokin. Now the next mission says that Rabbi Nachman ben Zakkai is the one who received the next from Hillel and Shammai. He was the Talmud of Hillel and Shammai. He learned his Torah from them. Also, like Rabbi Akiva, he started late in life, at the age of 40. And he became so great that he took over as the Nasi of the Sanhedrin after Hillel. He was the leader of the Sanhedrin, Menachem Mendel Schneerson, who also, amazing parallel, true to Rabbi Akiva, to Hillel. Moshe Rabbeinu, he lived till the age of 120, exactly. And this, of course, refers to the Kuf Chaf Tziruf Elikim. Moshe Rabbeinu was called Ish Elikim. Ish Elikim means the master of, the Baal, the husband of. The husband is the master of the wife, or rightfully he's supposed to be the master of the wife. And you see places where he isn't, that's his own fault. Normally, in normal cases, the husband is the master, of course a kind master, the wife follows. The wife is subservient. So that Kaviyachol too, the Kedusha, the Shekhinah is the Kala, and the Shekhinah's master is the Ish, the husband of, the Chosan of this Kala. The Yom Kalas Moshe Rabbeinu, as we know, was told to leave his wife on earth because he now had a new bride, a new Kala. That was the Shekhinah. And therefore the posek says, Moshe was able to give a bracha to the Jews because he was Ish Elikim, he was the master of the Shekhinah, the Baal of the Shekhinah. Now, being the master of Elikim means that he had mastered all the Kedusha found any Shem Elikim. There are 120 combinations of that name. As we know, the number of letters determine the number of combinations. If there are 4 letters to a name, there are 24 combinations. If there are 5, it's then 5 times 24, which makes a total of 120. That's the combinations of Elikim. And in reference to this, for each one of these Silufim, Nachman lived a year. So a total of 120 years, which he was able to live. And these other tzaddikim too, Hillel, Menachem Mendel also lived to the age of 120. The reason that they got to this age, the reason they were able to be zecher to a height which others did not get to, is obvious because all possessed the midah of anibus. The greatest possible midah is Eila al Kulam. Higher than everything else, the midah of anibus. This is how they became so great. This the Gemara tells us too about Menachem Mendel, which will happen in subsequent lessons, how he got to this midah. We should be zecher to follow in the steps of these great tzaddikim, the true anibus, true iskashus, to truly be talmidim of these great tzaddikim, the schus of this type of emunah, this degree of emunah, should be able to see Mashiach Amen.